doing an in-depth presentation on the SQL interview, more specifically focused on big tech. And then after that, we will do some SQL questions, and we'll do some actual practice SQL questions that you might be seeing somewhere like in big tech or somewhere else like that. So well, we should be here for about an hour, maybe a little bit longer. But yeah, welcome everyone to the channel. And like, I really am excited that y'all are here. I'm going to give people about like 1 or 2 minutes to kind of mosey on in here so we can get this up and rolling. But this should be a pretty good time. I have a presentation ready for y'all, and it's going to be pretty great. But yeah, if you're in the chat, make sure to like we'll put this here on the side for now. Like we can have the we have the chat over here. If anyone is interested, definitely tell me where you're from, where you're coming from, and yeah, we're going to be covering the SQL interview today, and especially like how to do a good job in the SQL interview. And then we will also be doing some practice problems at probably like the 30-minute mark of the day after about a 25-minute presentation. So it should be pretty good time here today. I'm excited to see what y'all have to say. Yep. Love you, Zach, but your boot camp's expensive. I don't give a fuck. This is how much I give a fuck. This percent. Right? I don't care that you think it's expensive. It's not expensive. It's actually not, because there's a lot of people out there, right? There's a lot of people out there in the world who take my boot camp and then they get a $50,000 raise. Imagine like I charged $100 for someone to get a $50,000 raise. That'd be dumb. That'd be stupid. Right? It's about the value and the impact, right? And it's there, right? Obviously, like, it's not for you. Then if you think it's expensive, it's not for you. That's how it works, right? Yeah. Hello from Latvia. Amazing. We have Dogmatic Artist. Amazing. UAE. We got Dubai here. We got Latvia here. Yeah, we're going to be in about 3-4 minutes. We will be starting the presentation here on SQL. So this is SQL Saturdays. So I'm hoping to do more of these over time as we can kind of like build up and get some more energy rolling here, right? So it should be pretty great. I'm excited. And if y'all are interested, we actually do have the AI bootcamp. My AI bootcamp starts in like 3 weeks. Should be pretty great. Yeah. Spending summer with Camp Zach is amazing. Also, the majority of people enrolled in Zach Bootcamp are actually senior and even staff engineers. This is not an intro to SQL Bootcamp. Thank you, Lax Lifter. Thank you. Right. Oh, we got Toronto. We got Columbus. Oh, look at that. We got Columbus, Toronto. We got London. We got Nairobi. Amazing. Right. Is SQL dead? No, it is very much not dead. This live is going to be showing you guys that it's very, very, very much alive. I'm really excited to see what y'all have to say about this stuff. But like, definitely, we're going to be starting in about 2 minutes. I'll be starting the presentation in about 2 minutes so that we can get rolling on this, and try to get your friends in here so you guys can watch this live. It'll be pretty sick. It's a good way to spend your. Oh yeah, we got India, dude. I came back from India about 2 months ago. I visited India in March, and it was really great. Oh yeah, we have UC San Diego. That's great. You might be the closest person to me, like physically. Right, like, cause I'm in San Francisco, so there's probably one of y'all in San Francisco. You probably like, I live in Soma. I live across the street from you, and I'm watching your live. And I'm like, ooh, awesome, creepy, but awesome. Like people in my study group are actual data engineers by trade and work at companies like Twitch, Apple, and Microsoft. Yeah, that is my freaking boot camp, right? It attracts people, right? And it's like, that's what's funny about it, is that like a lot of the people in my boot camp make like 300, 400K, and then it's like I charge them $2,000. I'm like, here, 0.5% of your salary for the year, and I will get you a 30% raise, right? And it's like freaking, but then it's just like, it doesn't matter what you charge. That's the funny thing, like this guy up here who's like, I love you, Zach, but your boot camp is expensive. If I charged $5 for my boot camp, if I charged $5, people would say it's expensive, right? It doesn't matter what you charge. There will always be someone who says it's expensive. Even if it's free, because guess what? I noticed this when I released the free boot camp, right? There's people out there who are going to say it's too expensive to invest my time into learning. So even if it's free, it's still too expensive, right? Yeah. There is a SQL Saturday site, by the way. Microsoft's SQL free Saturday conferences. That's great. Zach tells you the truth. You need at least 2 years of experience before joining. Yep, 100%. Thank you so much. And the instructors are actual people from Databricks, for example. Yeah, Yared is great. Yared is an amazing instructor. They don't see the years it took to get the knowledge to put together a boot camp. 100%. They don't see it. It's fine. It is what it is. But we have Australia. Oh, Panchami, I think you're the closest. You're the closest to me, like physically located to me. All right. Cool. Let's rock and roll here, y'all. Okay. I think let me kill the overlay here, so that it's a distraction. There we go. Awesome. Okay, guys, let's get into this presentation because I think y'all will really appreciate the slides I have today. So today we're going to be talking about the SQL interview. The SQL interview is the only interview that I have been asked in every single data engineering interview loop that I have ever done in my entire career. Oftentimes you actually get asked this twice. Like there's usually going to be two different segments that you get asked, and we're going to be diving into that a little bit more in detail here, so you can kind of know what to expect as you go through your career, right? So really, there's going to be two types of interviews that you get asked here. So you have the screener interview, and then you have the deep interview. So the screener interview, like I was when I worked at Facebook, I gave like 150 of these screener interviews. So I know a lot. I've seen it from the being the interviewer. I actually have seen that one pretty well. And then I've given about like 10 to 15 of these deep interviews as well, mostly at Netflix and Airbnb. So these are going to be the big interviews that you want to be thinking about, and they require a different set of skills somewhat as well. So let's talk about the screener interview, right? So when I worked at Facebook 2016 to 2018, I gave this interview. So in this interview, you get 60 minutes to answer questions. So it's going to be 3 to 5 easy to medium difficulty SQL questions. And like at the end of the day, this round is like these questions are really easy, like really easy. Like the first question is like, can you put a where clause in your query? Right. That's literally the first question. Like we give everyone a softball. Like when we say easy, we're talking like really, really easy. And then usually like the fourth or fifth question requires some joins and some group buys. But the first one is always such a softball. And it was crazy because in the 100 interviews that I gave at Facebook, there would be like, I don't know, maybe about 10% of them who couldn't do the first question. So keeping in mind this, because I think a lot of times when you're interviewing, you're like, holy shit, there's like I'm competing with these people who are just gods. They're SQL gods who have grinded every single leak code question, and they're just gonna like be so much better than me. And it's like, but when you're an interviewer and you're on the other side, you actually recognize that most people, like of these 100 people that I interviewed, only about 30%, 20 to 30% of them passed. So like most people fail the interview. Most people like, and that's the whole point of the screener interview is like we're trying to get the easiest interview that filters out the most people. So what were the mistakes, right? I saw so many mistakes from people who failed, right? So the number one mistake, and I just noticed this very, very quickly. Like I could tell if someone was going to pass or fail the interview pretty much like at the beginning of the first question. It all comes back to like if you just start coding, right? You don't even ask any questions. You just like, oh, I'm just going to immediately jump to coding. Uh, that I mean, you may still pass, but that behavior shows that like you are the only way you're going to pass is if you get lucky, right? And that's if you get lucky and your assumptions about the question are correct. And that is not necessarily correct. And like when you ask clarified questions, a lot of times like it'll make the SQL question easier. So don't just jump right into coding. Always ask questions every single time. All right, and don't rely on engine specific UDFs. Right, so you should be able to solve all of your questions with very basic functions. Right, like select from, where, group by, having, order by, limit. Those 7, and then maybe adding in a couple other ones like with. You probably need with, like because you might be asked a question about like a recursive CTE. That's another one. So you have with, and then you have what else do we have here? Window functions. So like you have like rank, dense rank, row number, sum, group by, order by. I mean sum, like rolling sum, rolling max, those kind of things. We'll be going over those in some of the practice problems here in a second. And like Facebook in particular is very interesting because sometimes you can solve it with a window function, and then you don't know how. Like, and then if you push the candidate to be like, okay, don't use a window function, they like freaking deer in headlights, and then they don't know how to do it. And so like make sure you know how to replicate a window function with a regular join. This is you use a self join. This is how you do it. You use a self join, by the way. That's how you do it. And definitely, Another big one here is not talking at all or being too anxious and talking too fast. Remember, this is an interview, it's not a test. A lot of people think of this as a SQL test, but it's not a test. It's an interview. There's another person watching you. And like you should be talking with this person and like showing them like, hey, I know how to code. I know, but more importantly than showing them you know how to code, you're like, hey, I'm a fun person to work with. Right. And so like if you're not, if you're just being too anxious, like then like you can be, and if you're talking like a madman, and that can happen, right? And that's where managing anxiety is a big part of it. Like one of the things I always do before these interviews is I always go and run a mile before I do these interviews because that will allow my hormones and my energies to kind of calm back down and allow me to be less anxious and talk slower, which allows me to give a better impression during the interview. So like definitely these are all very common mistakes, right? So let's just talk about some key things. Like, so in the questions, you're going to be hearing certain words, right? That like they should, like you can translate them immediately. So like you have freaking so if you're hearing ordinal words, right? So this is gonna be like first, second, third, fourth, seventh. Like the notorious question here is like the second highest salary. Like give me the second highest salary for everyone in each department. That is a big one there. And then so there is you're going to be, when you hear ordinal, right, and you hear first, second, third, you're going to be using rank, dense rank, or row number every time, right? So then you use row number when you have to just have one row per ordinal, because row number, like if there's a tie, like it will based on the natural order of the data, it will assign one of them first and one of them second. And so if you're filtering and you just need one row per ordinal, like you just need, so say you're looking for third place, but you just want one result, because with dense rank and rank, if there's a tie for third place, you can actually get multiple records, which you should get because it's a tie, right? But like it depends on the wording of the question. Sometimes you'll be using row number, sometimes you'll be using dense rank. I very, very rarely use rank specifically, because rank kind of like in the in the event of a tie. So if there's a tie for first place, then the next result is third place, which like it puts gaps in the ranking, which makes it kind of hard to work with and unpredictable. So I generally lean towards using row number and dense rank more than using rank in my interviews. Rank sometimes is the right answer, but it's pretty rare. Like it's almost always row number or dense rank. So another keyword that you want to be looking for is if you hear the word rolling. Rolling is another super important keyword that's like, hey, this is a window function. Rolling means window function every single time, right? So in this case, you see some syntax here, which is going to be sum. So it might be rolling. This is a rolling sum. And then we're going to partition by a dimension. Maybe we're doing like a rolling average by department, or we're doing a rolling sum by department. Keeping in mind that is very important, the order by here, and then the rows, right? So rows between 30 preceding and current row. This is going to be a 31-day average, right? Because you have the 30 preceding and current row. This adds up to 31. So make sure that you remember that, because like if you're trying to do a 30-day sum, there should be 29 preceding and current row, because this between statement is inclusive, not exclusive. So this would be 31 here in this example. But if you wanted to do 30, just change the 30 preceding to 29 preceding and current row. And that will give you your 30-day rolling sum. Or say you're doing 365, you put 364 here in current row. So that is going to be how you get your rolling sums, right? And those are very, very common interview questions. So we got more. So a lot of times you might get like, give me the number of active users in China, right? Or give me the number, or give me the rolling number of active users in China. So keeping in mind that those two are, that rolling keyword makes it solved in a very different way, right? So if you go back, right, rolling would mean that you would use something like this sum, and then you would partition by country and then order by, right? But if it's just like, give me the total number of active users in China, you can use more of a simple, like a super basic group by keyword, right? And then you just say select, select, country, some users, group by country, right? Done. So then you have things can get a little bit more complicated here. where you talk about hierarchies, funnels, month over month, year over year. So these can be another very common way to do things. So this can be a little bit messy. It depends on like the interviewer. They might push you to use self join instead of window function here. So make sure you're ready for that to be able to replicate a lot of these window functions as self joins, because that's just a very common thing I've seen in my big tech interviews. Another big thing here is like hierarchy and funnels. Those are almost always going to be a self join, right? Or they're either going to be a self join or a recursive CTE. So if you think about like a hierarchy, like you have like a hierarchy of like my manager's manager, and it goes all the way back up to Zuck, right? But then it's like, how do you get all of Zuck's reports? And the only way you can do that is by using a recursive CTE. It's a recursive self join. So, and then funnels would be like, okay, what percent of notifications that were sent were delivered, and what percent of notifications that were delivered were clicked, right? And then that is like essentially two self joins, so that you can kind of combine those things together, right? So when you're thinking about funnels, that's going to be like an event funnel of like, usually at the top you have a lot of events, and then at the bottom you have a much smaller percent of events. That's a very common thing. So for month over month and year over year, you're going to use a very similar rolling statement here. So say you're doing like you're comparing like the rolling sum today versus a month ago. You can just change the rows here, right? So you can say, instead of saying rows between 30 preceding and current row, you could say like rows between 60 preceding and 29 preceding. And then you can do a division, right? And then so you can look at the rolling, you can compare the rolling differences in one query. It can be very fast, right? And that can give you both month over month or year over year. It depends though, because like these might not be rolling metrics. They might just be like day over day, or month to date metrics. And in those cases, if it's month to date metrics, then with month over month and year over year, you want to use a self join, because a self join is going to be easier, where you join the metric and then you just bring in the date from a month ago, and then you do a division that way. So that's another one. Another very, very common pattern that you're going to see is find all things that don't have X attribute. So for example, like a question I've been asked both in the meta interviews as well as other places is like, give me all the users who have no friends, right? So in this case, right, you have the users table and the friends table, and then you left join those tables, and then and then you put a where clause where you can say where friend ID is null, and that will give you essentially a way to find all the users who don't have that, right? So you want to use the left join so you don't filter any rows out, but then because there's no matches on the right table, then that means that it will be null, right? And so then you say left join plus where is null. That allows for you to do things like find all the things that don't have X attribute. Okay, other things that matter, right? Things that besides getting the right answer matters the most, but like other things that matter are query readability matters. Use a damn CTE. If you're not using a CTE, like I'm gonna make a call, and you will get a direct LinkedIn DM from me where I troll you, and I'm like, you write ugly SQL, like it's gonna be bad. Like don't make me do it. No, I'm already setting up the AI systems to do this, so I can do it in a scalable way. I can scalably troll people for writing ugly SQL. So just don't do it. It's gonna be there. Like you will get the feedback both from the interviewer and from me, right? Anyways, your thought process matters. That's why talking through the problem, asking for clarification matters. Like you want to be showing them that you are a thoughtful, detail-oriented engineer, not just like, hey, I know SQL, right? And solving enough questions matters. You do have to quickly solve these problems. If you're not quickly solving the problems, you are being dumb. Okay, let's talk about the deep interview. Right. So we talked about the screener interview. That was like, okay, solve 4 questions in 60 minutes. If you can do that, great. Then you're on to the next interview. This is going to be a deeper dive. This one's usually 90 minutes. And you're going to really need to dive deeper into much more of the guts of SQL. So you need to be able to explain things like table scans, indices, partitioning, optimizations, and query plans. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into these a little bit, right? So like, remember that in this interview, it's even more important that you convey your thought process, because your thought process is what matters the most, right? And remember that being personable and likable are super important, because like a lot of candidates are between a 2 and a 3, where you have weak pass and weak accept. So like a lot of times, like there is a little bit of leeway for candidates who like they go through this process of like table scans, indices, partitioning, optimization, all that stuff, and they're like sweating bullets. And then like, but it's clear that they are like a coachable, likable person, and that can be the difference between a weak pass and a weak accept, which is literally the difference between getting an offer and not getting an offer. So definitely know that, right? So some big things, some just strategies for like when you're passing these interviews. Keep in mind, I've gotten an offer from essentially every single big tech company as a data engineer. So ask for your interviews to not be back to back the whole day. Mine were when I did the interview at Facebook, my very first one like 9 years ago. I just did it all in an 8-hour block. And I freaking never do that ever again. I always ask them for at least a 30-minute block in between each interview to stretch and recharge. And that might mean that your interview is across 2 days, but that's fine, right? And remember, always exercise 30 minutes before any technical or on-site interview, right? Reduce your jitters, right? So I just want to open it up for any questions here that y'all might have, because obviously I just freaking just blew through that, right? And so I'm curious what y'all have. If there's any questions, that would be great. This is what messes me up with my ADHD. I tend to overshare too much and be too hyped. That exercise hack is a good strat. Yeah, I mean, that's how for me. I overshared when I was working at I overshared when I was working or when I was interviewing at OpenAI last year. I overshared, right? And so yeah, that's going to be a thing, right? Any good resources to practice SQL questions? We are going to be going over that here in like literally 2 minutes. So just give me a little bit of time, and you will be able to see that, right? So 100% should be pretty great. I'm down here to probably answer questions for another 2 or 3 minutes. Probably at the 1:30 mark, we will be shifting gears. So make sure that you go to dataexpert.io/query. So if you can go to dataexpert.io/query, that would be really great, because that's where we will be doing our practice SQL, and we can all kind of write SQL together here, right? So best resources to learn and practice, right? So my bootcamp, the Data Expert Bootcamp, is going to be the best place to go, right? Because I cover all of this like in detail. It's like $200, $200 a month, and you can learn all of this pretty in depth. I highly recommend checking it out. And so we have, do people expect running SQL for 4 questions in an hour? Yes. 1000% yes. If it doesn't run, like you're going to be on CoderPad or HackerRank, and if it doesn't run, then yeah. Any certification recommendations? Yes, the data expert certificate that Ivory can have, right? So definitely. How difficult it is for Meta DE interview? I mean, I did it, right? That what I'm trying to say here, I thought it was really difficult. But like at the same time, like I was really young. I mean, I think if I was interviewing now, it would be less difficult, but like because it's like freaking, I have all the skills now. But like that was like 9 years ago, right? I was like 22 when I interviewed at Meta, right? I was wet behind the ears, right? But like I mean, nowadays, like I don't know, it's also more competitive nowadays, so it's like the bar is a little bit higher than it was. I second Alexander. Will these be recorded? Yes. Back when I used to do interviews, I would just stay quiet, solve the problem, and avoid any behavior that would hurt the interviewer ego. This is a bad strategy. This is actually a pretty awful strategy, because like you really want to show this is like, because if you want to get a higher level offer, like, so if you just stay quiet and solve the problem, what that says to the interviewer is that you are not a senior engineer and you are not a staff engineer. So you will get a mid-level engineer offer at best. And yeah, that will be the way that you want to think about it, right? Course of SQL. Yeah, my bootcamp, dataexpert.io. Like I'm not recommending anything else. Sorry, guys. Like it's like forget it's $200 a month, and I promise it will be very good for you. Is it more important to understand concepts deeply than syntax, as LLMs can write the code? Yes, you have to understand the SQL and the actual concepts underneath the hood. if you don't understand how to write good SQL, the LLM is gonna really freaking kind of blow your mind, right? And it's gonna be a really tough, really tough way to go, right? So definitely, I would say that that's a big thing that you want to be stepping into as you're kind of like walking through stuff. So like if you're just crossing your fingers and hoping that the LLM is going to generate the code for you, you are a bad engineer. And that's another thing where I will troll you at scale with AI. All right, don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. All right, like. Cool. I can take one more question here, and then we're gonna be shifting gears here. We'll shift gears here. I'm gonna go to the actual page here. So we're gonna be shifting gears here to we'll be doing a query editor here. Oh, nice. That's pretty sick. Okay. Oh yeah, we'll be using this query editor here that will oh, interesting. There's all sorts of like side by side stack. There's so many ways you can do it. That's a new feature. Have you already certified yourself with your own certificate to fulfill the prophecy? Yeah. Does your bootcamp teach data modeling? Yes, it does. It does. And I also have a lot of data modeling content on my YouTube channel. I have a free bootcamp on my YouTube channel that you can go to. 6 weeks of content. Go and grind it out. It's already done, right? And like just go and grind out that content. It's free, right? And you will love it. It's all on YouTube, my data engineering playlist. So if you just go to like youtube.com/@exactly_, just throw this up here. If you just go there, you will find my YouTube, and I highly recommend it. So make sure if you are going to be writing code with me today, make sure you go to dataexpert.io/query, and this is where we will be writing our code today. So definitely check that out. This is where we will be writing code. We will be writing code here in about 1 or 2 minutes. You're going to need to make an account in order to join, because it will not allow you if you do not have an account, but it takes 5 seconds to make an account. So especially if you log in with Google, it's even faster. As a starter in DE, what would you advise? Get really good at SQL, get really good at Python, make sure to get really good at Airflow. All those things matter a lot. Like I highly recommend it. Can data engineering work will be fully automated? No, it won't. Like this is like an absurd question. Means AI will take data engineering jobs? Like I get this question literally in every single live, and it's just FUD. FUD is just super annoying. I don't like FUD. All right. So anyways, I'm gonna see here real quick. So if we do let's go down here. So we're gonna work with Snowflake today. I think Snowflake has what we're looking for. So you'll notice here, I'm gonna see if my freaking employee fixed this. Is this fixed? Oh, it's fixed. All right, good. Okay, we can use Starburst then. Starburst is cool. So I just want to kind of go through this editor real quick and how it works, right? So you're like, you can actually create tables, but you can only create tables in your schema. So you're going to need to create your schema, and it's in this. If you click this important button, you'll see what your schema is. But today we're going to be working with this NBA player seasons table. And the first question that we're going to ask, right, is we're going to say, who was the second highest scorer in every season of the NBA in this data set? So this is who is the second highest scorer in every season of the NBA in this data set. So that's what we're going to be working with here. So like a lot of times, like when you're starting out these problems, you want to be looking at this data set, and like we'll look. So I already queried it. Here is, I always like, even in the interviews, I will kind of bust out a little like select star, and you'll see here is all of the data. And you'll notice here we have a season column, which will be probably a super important column for us to look into. So let's go ahead and like remember like from the presentation, we see who is the second highest scorer in every season of the NBA in this data set, right? So what we want to do here is, we know that that's going to be an ordinal term. So we probably want to do the dense rank here, right? And then we probably want to say over, and then order by, and we're going to say points descending, and we're going to say as rank, right? And then what we're going to do here is we're going to say order by rank. Okay, cool. So now this is giving us our points per season, and you can see, okay, but like one of the things that you might notice here is we're getting kind of a global. So you see here's James Harden with his 36.1 points in the 2019 season. And you have the 2022 season here. You have Joel Embiid right? And so you see, we keep rolling down here, rolling down here, rolling down here. There's all these different people who are scoring different amounts, right? So what do we need to do differently here? So one of the things is like we need to kind of do like a group by season, right? So if we put that in there, so if we say partition by season, then what we can see here is this will give us a different set, right? So now this is going to give us the first rank for every season. So Kevin Durant, in 2010 was the lead scorer, and then see here's James Harden in 2019 again, right? He was the lead scorer, right? And then you can kind of go through and see all the different players, right? And then you can see like Michael Jordan here in 1997, he was the lead scorer with 28.7 points. And so like this is close. So now what we need to do is we also would need to put like where rank equals 2, right? But you'll notice this query doesn't actually run. This query doesn't run. This query is upset, right? So why is this query upset? Because this comes back to like the order in which SQL is executed, right? So from is executed, then you have from and join, and then you have where is executed next, and then you have group by is executed next, then select, then order by, then limit. So that's why we can order by rank, but we can't put where here. So this is where like if we switched, so what you can do, right, is like if you switch this to, if you throw this in as qualify and then you change this to Snowflake, this will actually run. See how that ran? Because Snowflake is crazy because Snowflake has the qualify keyword. But in how do you solve this problem if you can't use the freaking fancy qualify keyword, and then you're just going to get a failed query in Snowflake, right? Or in Starburst. So what you need to do is it's pretty straightforward. We're just going to wrap this. We're going to call this with ranked as, and then we're going to put this guy in here, and we can say select star from ranked where rank equals 2. So now this allows us to wrap it in a CTE, and then we can kind of see what's going on here. And then this is now, you'll notice, and then we probably want to order by season here, order by season, just so it like is pretty interesting. And there might be some ties in here. So that's something that I want to look for, see if we have any ties, because ties can definitely occur sometimes. Do we have any players here who, oh no, look at that. No ties. Pretty great. Is that Luka Doncic? Okay, yeah. And we have Luka and we have LeBron. And yeah, this is pretty great. So if we go back through and we see what's going on in this data set, this is the answer. This is the answer, right, to this question, right? We can see like how different players are scoring at different moments and like who was the highest scorer in the league. So like how does it work differently? Like why did that qualify keyword work in Snowflake, right? But it doesn't work in Starburst. So Starburst is Trino, by the way. If you Starburst is just the company, and then we are actually running Trino. And so BigQuery also has qualify. We'll be adding BigQuery very soon. But like one of the things is like if you throw in qualify here, and then we say rank equals 2, and then we can just we can get rid of this, right? This is gonna work great. And then you'll see like we can run this and it works. So why does that work? It's because qualify actually is done at a different moment, because remember the order of execution of SQL, right? So you have from and join happen, then you have where and group by happen, right? Then select, then order by, then limit, right? So qualify actually happens after select. So it's after select but before order by. So it's a new keyword. You'll notice it's super new because it doesn't, like my editor doesn't even make it blue, right? But at the end of the day, that is what is happening here with this qualify keyword, right? So that's essentially what is going to be happening here for this question. And this is going to kind of wrap up this first question. I want to take a pause here and open up any questions that y'all might have about this solution, right? And I'm curious if there's also, if you guys want to make suggestions like on like what other problems or other things that you would want to see in this presentation. I am always down to answer those, right? And definitely know that like that's what I want to see here, right? And so also know that like I'm going to be offering some discounts here for the Data Expert Academy. So if you go to dataexpert.io and you go to SQL Saturday, you can get 30% off. And this is going to be good for the remainder of this live plus an hour. So this should be good until about like 3 o'clock or so. So definitely check this out. You can get 30% off. So you can get the whole subscription for like 140 bucks. But yeah, definitely, I'm open to any questions that y'all would be interested or things that you would be curious about. Like, is there certain types of SQL questions that trip you up, or there's certain kind of different things that you would be interested in learning here? Because I'm definitely all ears for that. Because I'm trying my best to like teach y'all. I can definitely pull some more questions out of my ass to also kind of give you guys some more interesting kind of ways of thinking about stuff because I have some more kind of curious things that I think y'all would be good to look into, right? Hi, is there a good place to learn SQL for free? Yes, dataexpert.io, like literally here, right? Islands and gaps, like yeah, islands and gaps are very interesting. Our tool you're using, our tool are you using for the code editor Monaco? No, it's a React component. It's a React component. This is a React component that it's a React editor or something like that. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and look at some other interesting questions here. So we have another table here. So we're going to look at select star from, and we're going to look at Bootcamp web events production. This is going to be another table. I think we're going to need to do this in Starburst though. Awesome. So this table is going to be all of the web traffic that is generated by different users, right? And you'll notice sometimes users are available and sometimes they are not. They're null because they are logged out. So it's like a logged out user versus a logged in user. So there, I'm going to start this off with a very simple one here. What we're going to do here is we're going to say the question this time around is what percent of traffic is logged out versus logged in. So we're going to start with something pretty simple here, but this is a great example of a query that you might be looking at. So in that case, you might be looking at this table and you're like, okay, you have like this is logged out, logged in, right? You can got to see like where people are logged in and logged out. So I think what we would start with here is we want to say case when user ID is not null, then logged in, else logged out end. And then we want to say count one, and then probably just throw a little group by. So this is a great example of something that you would see maybe at the beginning in a screener interview. It'd be a very easy sort of thing here. So then we have logged out versus logged in here. But like this obviously is not going to be really great because then we would have to like aggregate again here. So really what we want to do here is we want to do it like this. I think we're going to say count case when user ID is not null, then one end divided by count case when user ID is null, then one end as percent logged in. Oh, actually, like we can just say count one, right? Because there's only two states, right? Because it's gonna be percent logged in. This will be, and then we can say we could have another metric here, right? We can say is null. We can say percent logged out. And then what we can do is we don't even need a group by here, right? So now this will give us a way to do this with just like one table scan, right? You notice, boom. Like, why are they zeros? Because they're integers here, right? So we need to do a cast here. So we can say cast as real. And we can say cast as real because we need these to be decimals instead of integers because integer division there is rough, right? So there we go. So now we have our percent logged in, percent logged out. That's going to be our our different kind of tracking metrics. But these things are going to be different over time, right? And so they might also ask you like, okay, how are these values tracking over time? That's another very common question that people are going to ask. So what we can look at is like we can say date event time as event date, and then we can say group by one, order by one descending. There we go. So now we have all of our data based on logged in versus logged out. And you can kind of go back in time and then you can kind of see like, okay, like where are users coming in and where are they coming out of, right? And then you can kind of see as time progresses, where are we finding our the most valuable and interesting users, right? And like what percent of our data is coming from each place, right? So generally speaking, we probably want to have a couple more metrics here, like count one as total web hits. It's probably another interesting number because like if we just have the percentages, like it might be like 1 out of 2, right? And then this gives us a little like this will give the data scientist a little bit more clarity on what is actually happening here. So then what about in the case where they want more? What if they want more here, right? So they might ask you like, okay, what about by web browser, right? So this is where this can get very complex pretty quickly. So let's do a little select star from this table real quick, and we can kind of see what is actually happening here. So they might be asking for what is in your web browser. So you might notice here this is not that great, but you can see this is like browser, and then this is like device, or this is OS, and then device. See like generic smartphone, Windows, Chrome, different things like that, right? So at the end of the day, what we can do, right, is we can bring that in because you see this is user agent, right? So we can say in this case, say user agent, you can say dot device type. And then if we just group by both of these, now this is going to give us user agent device type is invalid. So we need to like actually look at like what that is. So if we say show create table for this table, we can actually look at like what is the actual struct underneath the hood, right? So you'll see here we have user agent. Okay, so we have user agent row, device, family. I think it's okay. So I think it's device family as device type. I think that is actually what it is. There we go. So now we have our like, okay, are they logged in? Are they logged out? Like, where are they coming from? And we can kind of see different sort of devices and different sort of models. So some of these are going to be really terrible though, right? Because it's like, okay, cool, I have one hit here, right? Where it's like, we probably want all these Samsungs to be just Samsung because otherwise we're going to get a lot of values for every different freaking phone here, right? So that's something that we definitely want to look into and see. Oh yeah, like this other here. This is disgusting. Like, um, and you'll notice that like a lot of these are just going to be like these are probably not a good use of like it's hard to do analytics when it's like you have 2 hits. You know what I mean? So in this case, like maybe we would want to do a cardinality reduction on this column, right? So what we could say is something like this. We can say like case when like Samsung, then Samsung else, and then we can just pop this guy in, right? End. And so then this will give us did I ever get in case when like Samsung, then Samsung else as device type. What? Did I miss? It's because I have that. There we go. There we go. So now, like you'll notice, like Samsung is going to be a little bit more interesting because now it has like 14 hits, but it's also still like everyone's logged out for some reason. And then it's like, why is that the case? Why is everyone logged out on Samsung, right? Like, what is going on? Like, there's like this could be a very interesting kind of thing of like, is there a bug? Is there a bug on Samsung phones that is not allowing any users to log in? Is that why it's all zeros? Like, who knows, right? And so one of the things that can happen here, right, is let's put in one more here because I think that this can be a very interesting thing here. But we want to say user agent dot browser dot family, and then what we want to do here is we're going to call this browser type. And then I'm just going to we're just going to copy this guy, move him over. So now this is going to be our browser type, right? And then we need to group by all three now. And this will allow us to see a little bit more details. Oh, user agent dot browser is invalid. Did I freaking forget it again? I know that browser's in here. It's probably just like something a little different. Let's see. So we have user agent, device, OS. Oh, yeah, dude, this is just bad. Like you see, it's like the row is just, I think it's just user agent dot family because there's no, yeah, this is just bad data modeling. So it's just user agent dot family as browser type. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Like and it's great because this is like more of a real world problem than like a stupid freaking SQL problem. There we go. Now we have our browser type. That's looking significantly better, right? So then we have like the Bing bot. That's pretty good. And you see the Bing bot is always logged out. That makes sense, right? So then we have all of our different browsers and device types, right? So what we would want here, right, is this is getting pretty close. But now what we really care about is we want to make this able to look at things like what about like we want to look at all of the different grains here together. So like say we want to know like the percent of logged in and logged out traffic on iPhone overall and the percent of overall on iPhone and Safari together, right? So what if we did something like this? So instead of saying group by this, we're going to say group by grouping sets. And then we're going to put in some sets here. So we're going to, but before we do that, we're going to put this guy into a CTE to make this a lot easier. So we're going to say with, this is as mapped as, pop this guy into a CTE. Then we're going to say select event date, device type, browser type. Oh wait, these need to be, these are aggregates that we want to put down here. So this needs to be user ID. And then these have to be down here because these are aggregate functions, right? So then we can say from mapped. Say group by. We're just going to put all these back to show you like, hey, this is the same query. It's the same query, except now we can actually use aliases, right? See, now that works great. But now what we want to do is we want to make this a very robust query. So what we can say is we can say group by grouping sets. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to keep all the sets. So we're going to have this set. And then we're going to have just the event date set. And then we're going to have just the device type set. And we're going to have just the browser type set. Okay, now this is going to give us a lot of grains of data. This is going to do a million. This is essentially doing like 4 group by queries at once. So then we can run this guy. And you'll notice now we're actually getting some nulls here. Null and null. Someone's on Nokia was logged in here. All right, interesting. So you'll notice like, so sometimes you're going to get a null here and a null here and a null here because that's when those are not included in the grain. So that's where we need to actually see the grouping, right? So we need to actually create the grouping grain. So what you can do is we can say case when grouping event date equals 0, then event date else empty string end. And then we can just copy this guy a couple times. Then we're going to say concat, right? We can put this guy again, and then we're going to say device type. And then we'll just do one more here. We'll concat again. And then we can say this is browser type, then browser type, else end. And this is as aggregation level. Aggregation level. So now this should give us close to what we're looking for. See, then we have, see now this, so this one's just at the browser type grain. See, this is just the browser type, right? And then you can kind of see, okay, this is event date, device type, and browser type. So we can see like what the different grains are, and you can kind of go through and walk through this. Obviously, like you want to be careful with these column names. Like there's another way that you can kind of like work with this, right? So what you can do is in those cases, you want to make this like array to string, I think, right? I want to just Google this real quick. Trino array to string. Is it array join? Oh, it's array join. Okay, cool. We'll just do array join then. Array join, and then we have our array here, which is going to be all of these values that we just created, but we got to get rid of the concats. And then we have, usually you want to join on like a double underscore, and that, does this work? Okay, this works, except you'll notice we have like this, like for these guys, we have like these stupid problems here where like they aren't there. So what we need to do is we got to put a filter on this guy. So we're gonna say filter on the array, right? And then we can say x is x does not equal empty string. And I think that will give us a very clean aggregation level. See, there we go. So now like you'll see like they're all like if you're looking for a specific event type or a specific grain, you have it this way. Right. And then usually there's kind of a like a strategy here where I did it like literally like the opposite. Like usually you want this to be like in alphabetical order, not in freaking like just random order. Right. So let's put that guy back up there, and then this guy here. Now this is going to be a query that will be BDE, right? Big data energy. Perfect. Okay. Now we have all of our freaking kind of different grains of data, right? You can kind of see the cool thing about this too is that like we can kind of make this into like I can just say like we're gonna say create table Zach Wilson dot event aggregations web. And then I'm just gonna say as. So now this would be like a Oh, I have the mapped. Oh, I forgot to put this up a little further. There we go. So now it's actually like doing the aggregation across the whole data set. So now what you can do though is you can be like select star from where aggregation level equals device type, right? Now this is super fancy, right? Because now this table, like now this is the aggregate table that you can throw into like a dashboarding tool, and it will be very fast, right? Because it's like now this has all of the data, right? And then you can just switch it out, right? You can be like, okay, I want to look at browser type now. And like one of the things that's really cool about this though is you'll notice that this table has no group by. That's this access pattern has no group by. Right, so now we're looking at just browser type, and we can look at like the global averages of browser type over time, right? And you can see Safari's a big winner there, right? But like at the end of the day, like this is what people will be kind of looking into and kind of working with, right? And so this is a very common way you can build out like analytical tables, right? Is it bad to have null values? I mean, yeah. Does anyone know how until how long the free bootcamp is going to stay until it gets shelved? Like, as long as like that's the good thing. Like, I don't give that answer because guess what? If I'm just like, hey, it's just available forever, guess what? You will just never fucking do it, right? Because that's how human psychology works, right? Is that like if I'm like, hey, this resource is available forever. You will just never do it. Anyways, this is another great kind of query. Another pattern that I like to show people is around like how to kind of create different things. Remember that like if you're interested in learning how to do this stuff in the cloud and actually like get access to freaking over 250 hours of content, you can go to dataexpert.io/SQL Saturday, and then you can get 30% off the subscription product. That can be another really great way to do stuff right. You have to practice SQL from scratch. What platform in sequence will you choose to practice on daily basics? Like, I don't give a shit. I don't know, man. Like, I would use, like, I have questions on my platform that you could work on. Like, you can go with dataexpert.io/questions. So you can go here, and then there's 50 questions. I would start here, right? Maybe start with the easy ones, right? Do the easy questions first, and then build your way up, right? That can be a really solid way to go, right? And then go from there, right? I don't know, like it's a lot, right? So I'm using Airflow as a remote script task trigger, kind of like cron jobs, but Airflow gives a nice UI and task dependency control. Should we care about its other features like managing infra resources? I don't know, man. Like, I would need way more information about your company. This is not enough information to give you any practical advice, right? So, but yeah, I'm here answering y'all's questions about this stuff. Definitely check out Data Expert. Say dataexpert.io/questions. You can check that out there, and that can be a really solid way to practice some SQL questions as well, and then kind of up level yourself and get to the next level. Like, I highly recommend checking that out as well. It could be a really good way to go. I'm here for another like about 5 minutes, so if y'all have any questions, definitely get them in now, because that will allow you to freaking kind of like walk through this and get through what is necessary. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what you guys get to and what you guys are thinking. Are you planning to launch a bootcamp for entry level? Yes, but like I just don't give a shit about it. But yes, it's like it's one of those things where like 5 million trillion bajillion other fucking creators have already made that, so it feels like a gigantic waste. So it's like at the same time, like I don't know, like it's one of those things where it's like you should probably just go with another creator and Google it and see what is out there for entry level, because it's like I don't like to freaking do that. Right? How many full-time employees do you currently have? One. For optimization, are CTEs better than multiple select statements? It depends. This is not for Trino. Yes, for Trino, CTEs are significantly better. Is there a significant difference between Snowflake SQL syntax and T-SQL? Yes, and no. Like Snowflake is going to have more freaking bells and whistles, but then there's going to be other things out there that are going to be out like T-SQL. Like I don't have jack shit experience with T-SQL. I just remember the syntax being really weird. I used T-SQL like 10 years ago. And so I would say that's going to be the big kind of strategies that you would want to be thinking about. But yeah, optimization stuff is complicated. Definitely for Trino, it's the way to go. Is product data science still a good career path? Seems like there are less job postings and it's super competitive for those roles. I have DS, DE, and SWE experience plus MS and DS and no callbacks. Maybe you just need to get better at LinkedIn. I don't know. Like maybe it's a networking and interview thing, or it's maybe like your resume is missing some things. Like I would not say that the roles are super competitive. There's just freaking like, and it's still a great role to be in. I think it's still a very good role to be in. Every company needs to optimize their product. It's like it's one of those things where you can actually measure the actual impact of your work. Right? You can actually measure it. Right? So like if you can actually measure the impact of your work, that's a freaking really good place to be, right? So like, I mean, I would say that like I would just keep interviewing and just recognize that like it's not that like you're making a judgment about your field when it's like it's going to be that way for freaking so many other people too, right? It's going to be such a big mess for so many other people that like in other roles too. I've definitely seen this in data engineering roles as well. So like it's not just like product data science that's having a problem, right? It's just like the general job market is kind of shit. So it's like it's going to take more time. It's just going to take more time. That's how it is, right? So like persist and work through this stuff. But definitely like if you guys are interested in getting more, right? Zach, you said in the beginning 30% discount on subscription. Would you please tell me how? Yeah, this is it. Dataexpert.io/SQL Saturday. Chandra, if you visit this link, or you can just use code SQL Saturday at checkout, you can get 30% off for sure. Can you briefly go through your study routine when you were a junior? I don't have a study routine. I just build stuff. I literally didn't study. Like, I feel like studying is such a fucking like academic way to think about this problem, right? It's gonna be like, okay, I build things, I build tons of things. Right here, let me just here. Let me kind of go over with you a little bit like what I'm talking about. So let's go to what GitHub exactly, right? Okay, so here's my GitHub, right? Okay, so first off, 17,000 or 1,700 contributions this last year. But like, let's go to repositories. Let's just go back a little bit. So Magic Deck Builder. So this is code I wrote. It's a Java application that had 40,000 users. I built this out. I didn't study because I think studying is stupid. I think studying is academic, and that if you want to build and you want to create your own shit, you should do that instead, right? I also have this. I have FB analysis. This one's pretty great. This one I worked on that. Like, what it did is it pulled in all my my Facebook data, and it pulls in all that stuff, and it gave me who my number one friend was. That was really cool. Pokemon app. This is an app that me and my friend Wesley worked on, and this is it has the complete like, it's a completely functioning Pokedex that I learned to build with JavaScript. You see, 10 years ago. This is all the stuff when I was a junior. I built that. Then we have Java projects in here. This has a bunch of projects in it. So coin analysis. This was when AI was very early. So you'll see this stuff is 12 years ago. I created a coin and coin analyze. Coin analyze is what it will do is it will look at pictures, right? So you see, like, you can like look at pictures of coins, right? And then what it would do is it would identify where the pictures are at, right? Oh yeah, and then that's like, I used this picture basis. This was like what I used to like determine what a penny was. And so, anyways, like, I built that out, and then I have Boggle Solver. So this is an end-to-end Boggle Solver, right? And this actually has like an actual file. This is a dictionary of every valid word. And so this is like an actual like recursive algorithm Boggle Solver. I worked on that for 12 years ago. And then in math here, I have a bunch of interesting things. So in this one, I have Fourier series. I have a graphing calculator that builds out a Fourier series. And then I have a graph panel. And then I did a numerical integration, which is really cool. There's some interesting kind of functions that you can look into. I didn't study though. I guess that's not like something that I'd be doing. Brian L, thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate it. That's what makes these lives worth it. I really appreciate the support, and you made a very good decision joining. Right? Can you suggest any SQL data skill update suggestions for product managers? I have no idea, man. I'm not a product manager. I don't like give a shit about product managers. That's not my target audience. Yeah, do the motherfucking thing. It's that simple. 100%. It really is that simple, right? The sticker behind you, I speak fluent SQL, was not a lie. You are actually fluent in SQL. Yeah. So, I mean, everyone, like, if like, make sure to check out this link here, dataexpert.io/SQL Saturday. You can get 30% off the subscription product. It's a really good deal. Or the AI bootcamp. I have an AI bootcamp that I'm launching in 3 weeks. We're going to be covering everything on how to build AI agents and how to do RAG and fine tuning and all that stuff. And that would be, I think that one, like, with the discount, you can get in for like $1,800. So I highly recommend checking that out as well. It can be a really powerful way to keep going, right? As like you're kind of going through your journey. That's sick. Thank you, Anna. Like, I've built a lot. Like when you're kind of going through your learning journey, like that's why like my boot camps are not really about like studying. I don't like to think of this theoretically. I'm like, build a capstone project, build something cool, build something that excites you, and get in the habit of building all the time. That's all Data Expert is, right? Your Git is public. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. GitHub.com/exactly. Right. You can go check it out. Right. I mean, not a lot of my commits aren't public, right? Because I freaking have my Data Expert thing I'm working on. So like that's not public, but like there's a bunch of things, right? When you were building stuff as a junior, were you watching videos or reading books? No. I was failing and suffering. Right. Is this project about coins of OCR, the Silicon Valley meme, or is it a seafood? I have no idea what the fuck that means. So I was not watching videos or reading books because this was 12 years ago. 12 years ago, right? Think about it. Just think about what was available 12 years ago. It's just there's like not what you guys think, right? Like it's not like YouTube was not what it is now. Like think about Mr. Beast 12 years ago had like what? Like 1,000 subs. Right, YouTube is just different now. It's a very different place, right? Different, very, and y'all have it too easy. It's so easy to learn nowadays. It's so easy, and it's just one of those things that like I guess like back in my day, I had to walk uphill both ways to school or whatever, right? Because it's like freaking, I don't know, but like definitely check out this discount code SQL Saturday. It can be a really solid way to get in on this subscription product. Like, and definitely I recommend buying a year because then you can just get in and like learn with me and learn all of the different things. Like you'll get access to all the Databricks content, all of the just everything that like you would imagine that you would want to get, right? How relevant is recursive CTE or how many times you used it? You only use that when you have like a tree hierarchy, right? So it's like if you have manager and report or different things like that and you're like traversing a hierarchy, that's when you want to use that. Very rare, very rare. Like in my 10-year data engineering career, I probably used it like 3 times, like totally. It's only used in interviews. I've used it more in interviews than I've actually used it on the job. When you refer to building using only SQL, can you explain what that might look like and what it may output? You should learn more than just SQL if you're a data engineer. I didn't say when you refer to building using only SQL. I don't. Where the fuck did I ever say that? Like, like SQL can only give you the aggregation. You should be using Python and other things as well to be building. Like literally SQL is a very hard thing to build with. Just SQL is very difficult to build with, right? Do you have the source code for scrape and IO? Why would I give you that? Why would I give you that? I mean, in general, is Airflow used mainly for task scheduling and dependency management? You code the ETL scripts and then set them up in Airflow, or do people use it for more in industry? That is exactly what it's used for. It's a cron job scheduler and dependency management tree, 100%. That is exactly what it is. So amazing. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you. Definitely, I'm gonna just throw this up one more time so you guys can potentially take advantage. So we have this SQL Saturday coupon code 30. So this will be available for another 50 minutes or so, and then we can go from there. I hope y'all have a fantastic Saturday. Hope you guys learned something. Who stayed on the call the whole time. Really appreciate you guys. Have a good one.